It's October 11th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Some years ago, I met Lanny Davis, who was working in the Clinton administration, and while we didn't agree much on politics, we were civil with each other because in those days you could be friends with people in the other party. Well, Lanny wrote an article yesterday in Purple Nation, and I want to just read that article to you today because it deals with what's going on in Israel in the most concise way. And this is quoting Lanny Davis, the entire article. I spent the weekend and most of Monday engaging in back and forth with fellow progressive Democrats who were trying to change the subject on the clear black and white facts about Hamas' terrorist war against Israel. I kept reminding them of four indisputable facts. Facts 1. Hamas openly declares it hates Jews. It is an openly bigoted anti-Semitic organization. Its public charter, which calls its covenant, states, quote, our struggle against Jews is very great and very serious, end quote. The covenant actually endorses the notorious fraudulent anti-Semitic rant used in part by Hitler to justify the Holocaust, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Fact 2. Hamas' invasion is not supporting an independent Palestinian state. Hamas denies Israel's right to exist. It rejects a two-state solution. The head of its political bureau, Khalid Mashar, stated this plainly at a 2012 rally in Gaza. He said, quote, Palestine is ours from the river to the sea, from the south to the north. There will be no concession of any inch of land, end quote. Some commentators attempt to explain the Hamas invasion over the weekend, blame the establishment of the State of Israel as the reason why there is still no independent Palestinian state. That's false and contradicted by undeniable historical facts. For example, for 19 years between 1948 and 1967, Arab countries controlled East Jerusalem and all the land of the West Bank all the way to the Jordan River. They could have established a Palestinian nation, with Israel left with a fraction of the territory compared to today's Israel. So why didn't they? In 2000, at Camp David, Israel's Prime Minister, Ehud Barak, offered to create a Palestinian state in all of Gaza and 97% of the West Bank. The answer was no. In 2008, Prime Minister Ehud Omer offered to withdraw from almost the entire West Bank and to partition Jerusalem on a demographic basis, in addition to all of Gaza still being without soldiers or civilians. Still, the answer was no. Fact 3. Hamas doesn't care about an independent, democratic Gaza for the well-being or social justice of Gazans. To the contrary, since Gaza threw out the official government of the Palestinian Authority, it has not invested in food, education, or jobs. Instead, it has used millions of dollars from Iran to build bombs and rockets to be aimed at Israeli civilians and has lined its own pockets with 15% of substantial funds from Qatar aimed at the poor. It's simply beyond dispute that Hamas has established a corrupt terrorist dictatorship with some leaders living in luxury abroad. In the summer of 2023, Gazans defied their overlords and held rallies throughout the area. Some chanted, where's the electricity? Where's the gas? And burned Hamas flags. Nor is Hamas reacting to Israeli occupation of Gaza. In 2005, Israel withdrew its citizens, about 8,000, and soldiers from Gaza and from forced settlements in the West Bank. In 2007, Hamas ousted the Palestinian Authority and took over dictatorial control of Gaza. But it opposed the authorities' negotiations to establish an independent Palestinian state and does so to this day. Fact 4. Hamas is and continues to be a terrorist organization, which meets the universal definition so dedicatedly to internationally murdering civilians for political purposes. Hamas does not deny that. In fact, it brags about it. Just this last weekend, Hamas terrorists intentionally killed 260 young civilians attending a music festival in the desert near Gaza during the first moments of its murderous invasion. No, it's not the same thing when Israel is forced to respond to defend itself from rockets aimed at civilians, and tragically and unintentionally, innocent Gazan civilians are killed, often because Hamas chooses to launch its rockets intentionally aimed at civilians from schools and hospitals, a double war crime. Those who make the false equivalence between intentional murder and self-defense with tragic unintentional deaths of innocents ignore the facts. I've always been a supporter of a two-state solution. Since I was very young, I believed in justice for the Palestinians and argued with my father that they deserved their own nation. But I also remember the famous line of Trevor from Fiddler on the Roof, where he argued with himself by saying, on the one hand, then countered with, on the other hand. However, on one issue which he could never compromise, Davis said there is no other hand. So regarding Hamas terrorist attacks on Israel in the last several days, I can only say, based on indisputable facts, there is no other hand. This was Lanny Davis writing in the Purple Nation. I think he's absolutely correct. I'm appalled that 49% of Democrats are out there supporting Palestine over Israel. It's just, Rashid Tlaib was asked, would she condemn the beheading of babies? And she was silent. This has got to stop. And Lanny Davis is correct. There is no other hand on this. And the American people better wake up on the left and figure out Israel is our ally and the only one that supports us in the Middle East. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.